Before it browns, I want to add a little bit of an onion, and I'm going to make some room right in the middle. And then I'm going to mix it with the rice. I'm adding 3 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to put it right in here. But I'm going to add some orange juice. And you may think, what is orange juice doing in rice where it's making it so beautiful? Because it's going to add some citrus notes and it combines with tomatoes so deliciously. Nuevo León produces so many oranges. In fact, it's known as the Orange Belt. I just squeezed the juice of 2 oranges, which would make about 1/2 cup. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm gonna give it a gentle stir. And then I'm gonna check for my roasted tomatoes, which should be ready. So it smells in here like popcorn, like orange juice, like charred roasted tomatoes. And I'm going to go ahead and add all of these right in here. I mean, I already want to eat it, and it's not even fully cooked. So I'm going to give it the gentlest of stirs so that the tomatoes and all of the juices and all of those flavors go deep into the bottom of the pot. It's going to have these beautiful roasted tomato layers. So now that this is at a rolling boil, which is where I wanted it, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to reduce the heat to the lowest possible heat. And this is gonna cook for about 15 minutes. I'm gonna get started with my chicken livers with chipotle caramelized onions. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of safflower oil over medium heat. I cut 3 large white onions into thin slices. It's gonna reduce to about 1/3, and it's going to become really irresistible. We're not gonna let it brown or crunch, so it's gonna take about 35 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna add some salt, 1/2 teaspoon salt. So it doesn't need a ton of babysitting, but you do need to stir here and there. And I think the rice is ready because it smells ready. Come see. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. I can't resist this. I have to taste a little. Rice is like a plain canvas. You can do so much with it. And with this one, I just painted a picture of what Nuevo León tasted to me. And this is the charred tomatoes, the orange juice, the cumin, the oregano. What kind of a crazy person pours orange juice into her rice? Really? It is so crazy delicious. You're gonna be pouring your morning orange juice into your rice the next time you make one. Just across town from Las Comadres, there's another stew simmering with a story. Meet Don Samuel, the owner of Capri, known across town for being a restaurant of the working class. He worked his way from bicycle food vendor to restaurant owner. And 46 years later, he's still making his best-selling stews for the people, using traditional fire cooking.
¿Cómo le va? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están?
Muchas gracias por recibirme.
Ándale, cómo no, me da mucho gusto que estén aquí con nosotros. ¿No gusta les sirvo un café?
Sí. Since 1975, he's kept the same routine, arriving each morning before his employees to brew his morning café de olla. Coffee with cinnamon piloncillo and a splash of milk. A ver, voy a probar su café.
Ándale, muy
Saludcita.
bien. Ándale, cómo no. Entro aquí a las 5.
Todos los días.
Todos los días, sí.
At 13 years old, he worked as an errand boy at a restaurant here in Allende, but with dreams of owning his own restaurant one day. He and his brother taught themselves how to make chorizo and menudo. And and sold it door to door until it was sold out.
Se ofrecía primero, levantaban encargos y luego ya la gente iba por la comida. Ponía un jarro de menudo en la mañana y yo para la tarde ya estaba listo y lo echaba en vasijas, en una caja de rejas, en una bicicleta y él llevaba las vasijas.
His stews were becoming famous among working class families across town, so he opened up a restaurant. By far, the biggest hit on the menu was the empalme.
Buenos días.
Pero aquí está su hijo. Sí, ¿verdad?
Sí, así es.
¿Y este es?
Este es hígado y este es asado de puerco. Hígado de res encebollado y este es el machacado con huevo.
Uy. Simply put, empalmes are Nuevo León style tacos. One bottom tortilla stacked with beans, the stew of your choice, and more tortillas on top. Served with salsa, of course.
De esta región aquí es lo más tradicional. Esto se inició con la gente que iba a trabajar a las huertas, a las labores, y las esposas les echaban lonche, les ponían lonche y era algo práctico para comértelo en el monte.
¿Cómo te lo haces tradicional? ¿Sabes que la verdad es
agarras una tortilla, tomas una tortilla.
Ok.
Sí, agarras, te sirves.
Ah, es que está la tortilla abajo.
Ajá, ese es el premio al terminártelo.
These empalmes are to die for, especially the tortilla at the very bottom. It's bursting with flavor.
¿Cuál preferido?
Mira, es que yo sí soy súper fan de los higaditos y es muy difícil encontrar buenos higaditos en restaurantes.
Yo le digo a los muchachos míos, le digo yo, o se vende bueno o no se vende nada. Hemos tenido clientes que han sido clientes de nosotros que almuerzan toda la mañana como 20 años.
Like an empalme, Capri's bound together by layers. Family, community, hard work.
Yo gracias a mi familia, mis hijas primero y ahora los muchachos me han apoyado. Gracias a ellos hemos podido sobrevivir aquí, a salir adelante. No es cosa fácil.
Liver inspires me, and it can inspire you too. Now let's make some irresistible chicken livers with chipotle caramelized onions. Let's talk about chicken livers, because I think it is one of the most unappreciated ingredients. You get them, you rinse them, you drain them. They look like these. So I have a pound of chicken liver here. They have a really delicious, soft texture if you cook them right. I'm going to pour some water over them. You take the lobes and you put them in a chopping board. And then you want to remove the connective tissue between them. I like to keep the lobes the biggest size they can have without any of that connective tissue. And one of the most delicious empalmes or Nuevo León style tacos that I ate while I was there was the higaditos one. And it just reminded me of how much I love chicken liver and how I've never cooked them here with you. They are so insanely nutritious. They're full of minerals and vitamins, and they have so much vitamin A. They are a beautiful thing. I want you guys to give them a try. And they're so incredibly affordable too, by the way. I'm gonna cover them now with half a cup of milk, which is what my mom used to do. Then you wanna leave them there soaking anywhere from a half hour to overnight, covered in your refrigerator. And I already have some that I have been soaking. So all that metallic taste will be super toned down. I'm just removing the chicken livers from the milk. And we're gonna drain them here. I mean, it's such an acquired taste. Like, I look at that and it makes my mouth water. And my onions have completely wilted and begun to caramelize and brown, which is just what I wanted. So I'm gonna scrape them right here into this bowl. And I'm continuing to cook everything on this pan, which is gonna make this dish have so much flavor. And now I'm gonna season these with salt and pepper to taste. So I added a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of safflower oil. We want that butter to melt into the oil, and it's really high heat, so medium high to high, because I'm gonna cook the chicken livers really fast. But you don't want it to be really hot, just until it starts to smoke, and then I'm adding my chicken livers. You don't want them to steam or boil, you want them to saute. Now I'm gonna scrape my cooked chicken livers right into this bowl. And I'm gonna make the chipotle sauce to finish caramelizing the onions. Okay, so I'm adding another tablespoon of butter in here. And another tablespoon of safflower oil. And I'm gonna let that melt. Oh, now it's really starting to smell. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of the sherry wine vinegar, 1/4 cup of chicken broth, 3 tablespoons of the adobo sauce from Chipotle Sin Adobo Sauce, right in here. Just a few more seconds. You wanna see it really bubbling. I'm gonna add the caramelized onions right in here. Gonna reduce the heat back to medium. And then I'm going to incorporate my chicken livers. Now that it is all incorporated and messy and saucing, this is a guisado that I love. I'm making a really quick avocado and panela cheese salad. So you know, when I was in Nuevo León, they eat a lot of queso fresco or queso de canasta, which is very similar to the panela cheese that I grew up eating. Okay, so I'm gonna make the vinaigrette first. So I have 1/3 cup of freshly squeezed lime juice, and a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Then I'm gonna add some salt. You can add salt to taste, a little black pepper, some diced pickled jalapenos in their brine, along with capers. And then I'm adding 1 shallot that I finely chopped. We're gonna mix all these delicious flavors together. Briny, spicy, tart, citrusy, yum. Then I'm gonna chop some cilantro. We're gonna use the leaves and the stems. Then I'm gonna whisk these. Looks like a delicious, delicious mess. I love delicious messes, as you can tell. And then I'm just gonna open the ripe avocado. It's one of the most beautiful reveals when you open one that is just perfect and ready for you. And then I'm gonna dice the avocado. This is like a cross between a salad and a chunky guacamole. And now I'm adding 5 ounces of the panela cheese that I diced. I'm gonna chop a little more cilantro. So I have my plate and my fork and my knife and my whole meal ready. And you know what these are? These are actually my wedding plates. I still have them. They're from Mexico. Talavera, handmade. Let me get some spoons. And Danny doesn't know it yet, but this is what he's having for dinner. And I'm gonna convince him that chicken livers are actually so delicious. He's not a fan. He hasn't tried this recipe. I think he's gonna love it. Let's give this a try. So my rice. It has so much taste. It's sweet from the roasted tomatoes, but I can feel the kick of heat from the piquin chiles, and then it has the depth from the cumin and the oregano, and the sweetness from the orange, meaning everything. The salad, so fresh. Let's go with the chicken livers. This is fun, I'm rotating. The caramelized onion is so caramelized, it's ridiculously sweet. But then with that sauce of the chipotles and the Dijon, it has such an incredible combination of flavors, and the chicken livers are just so rich and nurturing, and I love chicken livers so much. This is making me so happy. Mm-hmm. If you want to see true Mexican passion on full display, go to a soccer game. And now that Monterrey is a host city for the 2026 World Cup, fans are more passionate than ever.
It doesn't count. It does not count.
Oh, that is so crazy. Mexico has had some heartbreakers on the world stage, but we're loyal. Maybe it's a 90-minute escape from the issues that dominate the headlines. Or maybe it's the tacos. Today, I'm visiting two rival teams just miles apart, Los Tigres and Los Rayados, to taste the tacos that fuel 93,000 screaming fans.
It's so huge.
¿Ya se llenó?
No, yo ya no aguanto.
And take the rivalry off the field and into the kitchen. You guys, this is perfect. This is the moment. You see how it's huffing and puffing and smoking? And no matter who you're rooting for, I want to make sure you're eating well during the big game. In my kitchen, I'm showing you how you can make the most epic torta right from your own home without fighting the crowds. And that famous asado de puerco, you can make it too.
It's like even the birds are singing.
Doesn't stop.
I am going to give you a secret.
Yes, I love secrets. It's like nothing I've tasted before.
Every 4 years, our family cheers for Mexico in the World Cup. But I still need a refresher on the rules.
How much can you push another player?
You can't extend your arm.
And I can think of a better teacher than Mia Fisher, a superstar striker for the Tigres women's team, which has skyrocketed in popularity over the last decade. The timing happened to work out that the men are playing during my visit, but she's kind enough to be my host.
This is fun!
Yeah.
I like catching!
Barely in her 20s, she's a Golden Ball winner and a two-time finalist for U.S. Soccer's Young Player of the Year award.
I'm awful!
She's also a rare case of an American crossing the border to Mexico to follow her professional dreams.
It was like a dream come true. This is all I wanted to enter my pro career.
This is incredible that you're here now.
Yes.
You know, I think Mexicans are really loving the fact that women, like the dads that have daughters,
Yes.
are like, finally, our daughters can get into the sport.
Exactly. I'm playing because I love the sport. It's my passion, it's my love, but also to inspire everyone.
What do you
my
think
gosh.
about the food and how's the diet here in Mexico?
One reason why I was so happy to see you is because I'm a foodie. I love food.
Mia brings me to one of her favorite stadium stops for massive tacos with homemade asado de puerco, a pork stew bathed in a rich smoky chili sauce, and chicharrón norteño, fried pork belly drowning in a tangy salsa verde. Both are stuffed in warm, handmade flour tortillas. If the team nutritionist is watching, you may want to avert your eyes.
I like how in Mexican food is a lot of flavor. You can see it right in front of you, then make it from handmade flour at a stadium.
I'm gonna teach you something.
Okay.
Food-wise. Just like you have the two main, like, Tigres and Rayados.
Yes.
Like, there's two main camps in Mexican cooking,
Okay.
in sauces. Whenever you get a stew that's tomato-based, add tomatillo sauce.
Add the green.
And whenever you have a stew that's tomatillo-based,
Yes.
add red sauce.
The opposite.
Because they complement each
Yes.
other. Because the tomato is sweeter,
Yes.
the tomatillo is more tart.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is a gigantic taco. It's so huge.
And it's hot too.
I've never tasted asado de puerco like the one I tasted in Nuevo León. I wanted to recreate it in my home kitchen, but most of all, I want you to make it at home. It's not complicated at all. To get started, you need 3 pounds of pork loin. And then I already cut it into about 3/4 inch pieces, but I left all of the fat on, as you can see, because by the end of cooking, the pork is gonna cook in its own fat. And the fat of pork is delicious lard, and that's what you want. So I'm gonna add the pork right in here, and it's nice and tender. Let me rinse my hands. And now we wanna cover the pork with water, just enough to get to the top of the pork. And now I'm gonna get it going over high heat, just to get these to a rolling boil. And I'm going to cook it with these aromatics that I'm going to put in a little like spice packet. So I have a piece of cheesecloth, and I'm gonna add 2 bay leaves and 2 peeled garlic cloves, 10 allspice berries. They taste a little bit like cloves, black pepper, like cinnamon, and they add a lot of flavor to a dish. We're gonna cook the pork with the water and the spices until there is no more liquid. If you put your spices in a packet like these, when the cooking is done, you just remove it and then you don't have to fish for your spices. As it comes to a boil, so much foam comes to the surface. You can see along the edges. Remove as much foam as you can. As that continues cooking, over medium-high heat is gonna be anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. I'm gonna make the adobo sauce. And what's gonna go in my sauce is a combination of chiles. I'm gonna use guajillos and anchos. And this is a traditional pairing of chile. So when you use a chile in Mexican cooking, you don't have to just use one chile. Chiles love the company of other chiles. The guajillo, this is my favorite color in the universe, so much so that my kitchen has that color in the walls. To clean the chiles, the guajillo and the ancho, all you need to do is to remove the stem, and then you're going to open it up. You can use your fingers. The guajillo chiles are 0 spicy. They have no heat. And then we have the ancho chile. And the chile, very different flavor from the guajillo. That is why they go so good together. The flavors that you find in the ancho are like raisins, prunes, cranberries, tart cherries, plums. Plus, the ancho tastes a little bit like bittersweet chocolate. It's phenomenal. Now, in order to unlock those flavors, we're going to toast them gently. You don't want them to burn. You want them to toast, just like these. You can see the fumes. That's what you want. So you're like bringing these chiles back to life, and then I'm adding them right in the saucepan. Oh, these must look so pretty. We're really taking advantage of this knowledge that has been passed down for generations and generations and generations. So I'm very happy to be passing this on to you. So as these chiles are rehydrating, guajillo with ancho, and now the fresh, grassy jalapeno, but we're gonna char it, we're gonna toast it here in the comal. And I love how when you put chiles on a comal, fresh chiles, they start jumping around. As we say in Mexico, empiezan a bailar, like they start dancing. I'm adding tomatoes. See, now the tomatoes are starting to dance too. And then I'm gonna add a couple of garlic cloves with their peel on so that they can char and roast inside of their natural packets. A piece of an onion. I don't know if you can hear these, but the tomatoes are kind of whistling. First, I'm adding the chiles. And look at how the chiles plumped and rehydrated. Adding a cup of the cooking liquid and a cup of water. I'm adding all the ingredients that are now so beautifully charred, and you want to stop the charring or roasting process until the ingredients are completely transformed. So I have the jalapeno. I'm just removing the stem. I'm adding the chile with everything in it. And I'm removing the garlic cloves with the skin on. They have to cool because I do want to remove the garlic skin. I'm removing the skin, adding these to the blender. I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Teaspoon of oregano and a half a teaspoon of cumin. And I have to tell you, the oregano from Nuevo León lets you know I'm here and I'm gonna make myself known and you're gonna love it. Half of a teaspoon of cumin seeds. And this already smells like Nuevo León to me. And look at the color, it's so beautiful. It's really taking me back to all the different adobos de puerco that I tried because in Nuevo León there's so many adobo de puerco everywhere you go. So let me get my pork. All of the liquid has cooked off. We're adding the sauce and this is gonna sizzle and smoke and bubble, which is what we want. And one of the things that give this asado de puerco its incredibly unique taste, it's adding an orange rind. You wanna have some pressure in the orange, so use your thumb and use a very sharp knife, but be careful. And then just put pressure as you cut it. And then you can gently go around. Oh, the color is so pretty, the smell is so good. Now these need to cook for about 20 minutes. And as these finishes cooking, we're gonna make the poison beans. They're so incredibly delicious. Of course, there's no poison in them. So the poison in the beans is the adobo sauce from the asado de puerco and the lard too. While my asado de puerco finishes coming together, we're gonna make the beans. I have a pound of pinto beans that I cooked with 14 cups of water. I have measured it to the bone. 14 cups of water, like half of a white onion, and then you cook that for like an hour and a half until the beans are so tender, and then you add a tablespoon of salt, and you have these. These are frijoles de olla. Remove the onion that cooked with the beans, and then add the pinto beans right into the blender. I'm just gonna pour it all. Here we go. You can puree your refried beans. See, I want them with a little texture. I like them a little bit chunky. And this is the poison for the poison beans. We're gonna fry these refrieds with the fat from the asado de puerco. So now you can see why they're called poison beans. If you don't have enough fat in your asado de puerco, your pork didn't have enough fat, you can of course go to direct lard, or you can also use any kind of oil that you like. Once asado fat is really nice and hot, I'm gonna add the pureed beans. And now they're starting to get seasoned with the fat. Oh, this is perfect. See, Mila knows. This is like the happiest moment in the kitchen when everything is starting. Mila, she knows. See? And now we're gonna season the beans with the adobo. So I'm adding about a half a cup of the asado de puerco sauce right into the beans. Oh, like I'm getting so hungry right now. The adobo is ready, you know, because the sauce is nice and thickened. This is so saucy. So I have this friend that says that refried beans are ready when they can practically walk themselves out of the pan because they're so thick. This is so perfect. You guys, this is perfect. This is the moment. This is the moment. And you see how it's huffing and puffing and smoking? Okay, so it's ready. Yum. I'm gonna heat my tortillas. I am gonna grab a little bit of the fat. I'm gonna add it to the bottom of the pan. And then we're gonna build ourselves a plate. So I'm adding my tortillas. Then you add a layer of the beans, just like that, spread a little. I'm adding some of the asado. It's an asado cascade. You add the tortillas on top. It's really a fun way of eating tacos because you get a platter and then you can taco the heck out of it. Of course, we have to do what my dad does, which is a sprinkle of salt. And then this is my first empalme bite. I don't even know what to say. This is so good. It's so like unpretentiously delicious. It's homey. It's packed with flavor. I'm on the first bite and I can't wait to the last bite. This is so yummy and you have to try it at home. They may be only 8 miles apart, but to the people of Nuevo León, Los Tigres and their arch-rival, Los Rayados, may as well be two sovereign nations. The clubs have been battling for decades, and I've been invited to walk the hollow pitch with the Rayados women's team captain, Rebeca Bernal.
¡Qué emoción! Bienvenida a tu casa, la Casa Rayada.
Rebeca is one of the highest scoring players on the team, despite being a defender. And her dominance has earned her a position on Mexico's national team, with hopes of playing in the 2023 Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand.
¿Qué sientes tú de poder ahora jugar fútbol, soccer, sabiendo que pues, tus papás también jugaban y que tu mamá le gustaba jugar, estar tan orgullosa?
Sí, yo feliz. Mi mamá me dice que ella no tuvo la oportunidad de realizar su sueño, que era ser futbolista, y cada vez que me ve lo disfruta muchísimo porque se ve su reflejo en mí. ¿Quieres meter gol?
After lessons from some of the best female athletes in the world,
¿Quieres meter gol?
maybe I should change careers.
Para allá.
Or maybe I should stick to food. Speaking of, I'm getting hungry for those famous tortas I keep hearing about.
¡Hola!
Hola, ¿cómo están?
¡Venimos por... ¡Ay, tú eres el chino!
Hola, Chino Arrieta, ¿cómo estás?
Oye, ¿y por qué? ¿Tú sabías que tenían chorizo argentino?
Son muy famosísimas. Entonces, hay que probar uno, ¿no?
Sí.
El Chino Arrieta has been serving savory arrachera tortas at Rayados games since 1986. But when Argentinian players taught Chino the special spice formula for the chorizo, and he mixed that with the arrachera in one torta, the sandwich exploded with popularity.
¡Ahí están los chorizos! ¡Qué rico! Platíqueme, ¿esos chorizos los hace usted?
Estos los hacemos, son artesanales, eso lo hacemos yo y un hermano mío.
Ah.
Somos lo que lo hacemos. Después lo traemos y es el que vendemos como torta de chorizo o torta mixta, arrachera con chorizo. Es carne de res, carne de puerco, con la combinación de los condimentos que le agregamos para que es el toque argentino-mexicano con nosotros. Por eso le da el sabor. ¿Qué tal comes picante?
Yo soy
Buena para comer.
buena para comer picante.
Yo también.
The spice chorizo is amazing, but what takes it over the top are the vast array of toppings that don't ever end.
Yo ya.
¿Ya se llenó?
No, yo ya no aguanto.
Tito pico de gallo
Beto le puso todo.
y guacamole.
Guacamole.
No me voy a poder comer esto ni me va a entrar.
Entonces,
Sí.
¿Lista?
así va.
Pero me sabe
No, pero
todo.
tiene buen sabor el picante.
Pues ya vi por qué es tan famoso Chino Arrieta.
Toma.
Vente, hacemos tortas. Oh, te voy a hacer... No, tú vas a hacer conmigo the most gigantic torta ever.
Let's do it.
Es una torta mixta. Lleva arrachera, which is skirt steak, y chorizo argentino. They get the grilled grades ready by scraping it with the onion. And the onion, not only cleans it, pero it seasons it. I'm gonna brush la arrachera. Arrachera is skirt steak.
Okay, yeah.
¿Quieres tú échale sal? So when I went with the Rayados player, she took me to this very famous torta stand que hacen estas tortas mezcladas. And it's a mix of arrachera and Argentinian chorizo, not Mexican chorizo.
Why do they use Argentinian?
I know, I was wondering the same thing.
Because obviously Mexican is the best. It sounds like they can't take the heat.
No, wait until you try.
Okay.
I made like a mexa kind of chimichurri en donde yo le metí el Mexican thing al chimichurri, so it's truly a blend.
What makes it Mexican?
I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
So we're adding like 3/4 cups of olive oil.
Okay.
Half a cup of red wine vinegar. Okay, now we're gonna chop stuff. We need about a cup
Okay.
of each.
Should I cut it this?
So we eyeball it, yeah. So
Okay.
you're gonna chop with me. I love using the leaves and the stems. The stems have like a delicious crunch. Entonces tenemos el cilantro, el parsley. Flip. Oh, we need to flip. Yes, we need to flip. Y mira, 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 mira. This is so beautiful because you see
Oh, that looks perfect.
like the caramelly edges. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Let's flip the chorizos a little too. Let's see how they're doing. I think this needs like 5 more minutes. So we have cilantro, parsley. Now we need the oregano. So let's move the leaves. Para quitarles leaves, les puedes hacer así. And for these like Mexa style, I'm adding pepitas, pumpkin seeds,
Nice.
pickled jalapenos,
Classic.
fresh jalapenos, and lime zest and lime juice. So we're adding these scallions. I'm adding the white and the green parts too. Let me look at the meat. Oh yeah.
Looks perfect.
The chorizo should be ready. Okay, so we have the lime zest.
How much should I
think
do?
that's good
That's good?
enough.
Okay.
Let's cut the lime. And then we can squeeze the juice in here. You can add some salt and pepper a la salsita.
Okay.
Alan, let's add the pickled jalapenos.
Okay. All of them?
All. See.
All right, all
I mean,
right.
how much would you take? I would totally take
I
it
would
all.
do the whole thing.
Yeah. So I'm adding the garlic. And then I think what I love the most about my chimichurri mexa, I baptized it mexa chimichurri for the Mexican ingredients, is the pumpkin seeds. The pumpkin seeds give it that like nutty, fresh, and the crunch. And then,
Nice.
so we have our chimichurri. Mira qué bonito está. I mean, look at that.
That looks so good.
It's like so vibrant
So
and all
green.
green.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna toast the bolillos in the grill
Okay.
as you cut the meat,
Okay.
okay? Oh
And
my God.
that looks perfect.
Alan, you grilled this like to perfection. Okay, so let's cut that into bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
I'm making mine, you're making yours, okay?
All right.
Putting meat
A lot of meat.
in like every corner. And it's like so meaty, and suddenly you get that like burst of green.
Yeah.
O sea, how good does this look?
Looks so good. That's so good.
It's like even the birds are singing. When I was in Mexico and I was seeing all these players and their families rooting, it reminded me of when you were little and you were doing soccer, you remember?
I used to be a crazy fan. Used to be the craziest fan because, you know, most parents, they show up, they put up their chairs, they'll clap or yell their kid's name, but you were like, Mátalos, mátalos, vamos Alan, you'd scream, scream, scream at me. I remember looking back at you and all the parents were looking at you like, who is this woman?
Was it embarrassing?
No, it's not a bit.
It was a little embarrassing.
No, but
It was
that's the
super
way it's supposed to be.
embarrassing.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Pan dulce, Mexico's treasured sweetbreads. It's a centuries-old tradition that makes classic European pastries uniquely our own.
Rico verte.
Un placer.
Today, I'm in Monterrey, Nuevo León, meeting with Pan Dulce master panadero and award-winning author Irving Quiroz, who's helping me in my obsession to create the crunchiest campechana.
Perfecto.
And I break bread with one of Irving's former students, Chuy Elizondo, who runs one of the hottest brunch spots in town, at a location you would least expect.
Eso está impresionante. No sé cuál me gusta más. Qué bárbaro.
And one of the key ingredients in Chuy's famous chilaquiles verdes is also one of the most commonly used meats in the state, chicharrón. Today, we'll meet the family who owns a butchery known to have the best chicharrón in town.
Comer un taco delicioso. Rico.
Sí. Let's get to the kitchen, where we'll try another Mexican pan dulce delicacy, sweet pineapple empanadas. But first, let's listen to this bite one more time.
Doesn't stop.
I am going to give you a secret.
Yes, I love secrets.
It's like nothing I've tasted before. Today I'm excited because I get an exclusive look inside the workshop of a baker I've admired for a long time.
Qué rico verte.
Un placer.
Oye, what a view.
Esto
O
es-
sea, no wonder you make such amazing bread.
Yes, yes, yes.
Irving Quiroz is a bread-making trendsetter. He's one of the few generational bakers willing to share his family's secrets. As an author and teacher, he has dedicated his career to generating pride in Mexican bread making.
Sabes que en mi caso, ser panadero en México no es algo muy que yo me sintiera orgulloso. Entonces yo quería tener mi diploma francés y hoy en día lo que más me enorgullece es decir que soy panadero mexicano, ¿sabes?
After leaving home to train in France, he returned to Monterrey with renewed purpose to explore and share his country's baking traditions.
O sea, porque tú tienes esto como en tu ADN.
Sí, exactamente.
One of those traditions is the perfect campechana, a classic Mexican pan dulce made with puff pastry consisting of only 5 ingredients: flour, salt, sugar, water, and fat.
I'm obsessed with the campechana.
Yes.
And I feel like it's a very simple thing, but
Yes.
almost impossible to achieve.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's anything but simple to achieve the crunch of the perfectly caramelized exterior that gives away to the deliciously crisp and airy center.
Para mí, yo digo que es el hojaldre de los pobres. No tiene mantequilla, no tiene margarina, tiene manteca.
I didn't know.
Si lo haces con mantequilla es imposible.
Really?
Sí.
Ay, pues por eso no me sale.
Sí, claro, sí.
Within a few minutes of learning from Irving, I'm already a better baker, I think.
You're looking for the window pane
The window
effect.
pane. Bueno,
So if you stretch it soft and long enough, you should be able to see light through it. I'm making holes.
yes. Vamos a ponerla
You
aquí.
did it right. Okay.
Ahora, vamos a preparar en la mesa un
Ok.
cuadro. Esto es otro secreto de los panaderos.
Ok.
Vamos a dibujar un cuadro
Ok,
con la
he's-
manteca.
¿por qué?
Esto va a ayudar a que la masa se quede perfectamente bien pegada.
Ah.
Para que después cuando la estires tenga resistencia y quede estirada.
Okay.
¿Sí? Esto es un palo
Fat.
de plástico, pero puede ser un palo de escoba. Y ahora voy a empezar
Ay, qué rico.
justamente a estirar
Ajá.
a lo máximo y enrollo. Estiro y lo que estoy haciendo, estoy enrollando muchas capas de masa y grasa, como si fuera un hojaldre.
Yeah, let me try.
Sure.
Pero and the challenge here is not to break it.
Exactamente.
I can feel the pull. This is so much fun.
Básicamente así.
Ajá.
¿Ah?
Yeah.
Así.
Yeah.
Esto va hacia arriba.
Wow. Wow. I need to find me one of those sticks.
Vamos a trabajar con la masa campechana.
Okay. Irving is an encyclopedia of baking knowledge. He spent years researching his top-selling books by building trust with local bakers who over time share their secrets, like how to create 60 layers in a single pastry.
Ahora, este es otro truco. Si tú tienes 20 vueltas aquí, pero tú haces una vuelta sencilla como un hojaldre, ahora tienes 60 vueltas.
That's amazing.
El azúcar.
All of this new information is making me very hungry. So let's get this in the oven already. So glorious!
Yes.
This is insane! Because it's now, and they're puffing and they're bubbling.
Yes.
Because now it's all puffed up with the first rice. And I can just imagine the crisp layers.
Yes.
And now the top is completely melted into caramel.
Yes. A real campechana.
I'm like dying to bite into one. Whoa.
Look at that. Cuidado.
Yeah, no, this is
And smell it.
you're making me so happy. Matt, I think that we need to bring the microphone down so
Yes.
you can get the sound of the crunch.
Sure.
Ready?
No words.
The millions of crunches.
Yes.
Yes,
It's
yes.
not too sweet. Just a little bit, but it's crunchy in every bite. You like it?
No, I love it.
I can see your face.
Have you ever heard this big of a crunch? Nothing beats a perfectly crunchy campechana. And it's even better learning from someone whose mission it is to record, preserve, and share these traditional recipes.
I'm sure that the next time that you make campechanas, you are gonna get it.
No, pues ya estoy aquí con el master. I don't want the sweets to stop. Irving has inspired me to make one of my most requested recipes for you. Sweet pineapple empanadas. So I'm gonna start my dough for making pineapple empanadas by adding 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of grated piloncillo. Now you know piloncillo by now. Piloncillo is the most unprocessed form of natural sugar. It comes from the sugar cane. You grab your knife and then you just chisel it. And it's actually really satisfying. We only need a tablespoon, but now I'm having fun here. And I'm gonna mix this a little. So I'm adding a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter that I already diced and a 1/4 cup of vegetable shortening. And then you're just gonna mix like this and you're gonna squeeze the butter and vegetable shortening into the flour until you get a little bit of a like coarse meal. It's really delicious here. If I press with my hands really hard, it comes together. If I go like this, it crumbles again. So that means we did a really good job mixing the fat into the flour. What people used to add to the dough was pulque, which is kind of a fermented drink in the style of beer. I like to add some light beer, and I'm adding it little by little as I mix it, and it's gonna help it rise and leaven. So it will give it a very light texture as it fluffs and puffs a little. And I just wanna make sure that you know that this dough does not have to be perfect. See how it's a little lumpy? We're gonna wrap it in plastic and put it in the refrigerator anywhere from a half an hour to like 24 hours. While my dough is resting, I might grab a concha and a tire rotation. A former student of Irving Quiroz now runs what might be the most hipster bakery in town. Oye, pero no me dijiste que estabas en un body shop.
Sí, aquí estamos.
Está padrísimo.
Aquí fue el primer horneado de pan
Aquí.
Un pedacito, allá en un pedacito. Sigue siendo taller, allá está.
Taller más
Sí,
cool.
Sí.
Sí.
Creo que son el primero.
Vamos,
Adelante,
yo quiero que me
por favor.
enseñes.
Chuy Elizondo worked his way up from very little to now owning Benel, a renowned bakery and brunch restaurant with 4 locations in Monterrey. He takes a traditional pan dulce like the concha and completely reimagines wild new dishes, like this sweet and savory bomba chilanga, a vanilla concha with chilaquiles rojos and shredded chicken, loaded with toppings.
Ah, bueno. Es dulce, ¿no?
Está exquisito.
Es dulce,
Sí, like the sweet concha, con los chilaquiles and the chicken.
Now for the machacado toast, traditional carne seca, or dried meat of the region. Atop a buttered piece of Chuy's fresh bread, with ripe avocado and a dusting of corn ash.
Machacado es el desayuno por excelencia regio. Bien, ¿te gustó?
Buenísimo.
And last but not least, this insane croque madame with beef barbacoa.
Uy, croque madame. O sea, France commit Mexico.
Sí.
Wow. So you're just finding ways to make your bread shine.
Ya.
Sí. Estás haciendo. ¿Qué vamos
Salsa.
a comer ahorita?
Chilaquiles verdes con chicharrón de la Ramos. Ironically, we have bread restaurants.
Yeah.
And the best seller
Yeah.
is the chilaquil verde with chicharrón.
That's so funny.
Chicharrón is fried pork rind, and almost everyone gets it from the same place. I'll take you there later to find out why. Like most entrepreneurs, Chuy has overcome challenges. But in Monterrey in the late 2000s, cartel violence was reaching new levels and crippling small businesses.
¿Sí, no?
Chuy's resilience was key to his success.
Y puse 3 negocios. Y en ese tiempo se vino la inseguridad. You can leave the house after 9 p.m.
There was a curfew.
Yeah. Llegaban con una pistola, se sentaban. ¿Y dónde está el dueño? No, pues no está. Ah, pues bueno, vengo la otra semana. ¿Y dónde está el dueño?
Y tú
No, pues
decías,
no
no
está.
está.
Sí, claro. No está. Pues,
Y tú sabías que eran.
sí, pues traían pistolas. ¿No? Entonces todo el tiempo pasaba así. Sí.
So you closed them all. Los cerraste todos.
But the brownies.
With only one business left, the bakery, Chuy kept going. He discovered his love for making pan natural, bread without preservatives. And in 2016, he opened Casa Benel.
Está riquísimo.
Voy aprendiendo
No tiene
todo.
preservativos.
No, nada.
But there is one item I need to investigate. Those delectable deep-fried chicharrones in his chilaquiles have appeared on nearly every menu in town. And they're all from the same place, Carnicería Ramos.
Vine aquí a la Ramos porque a todos lados a donde voy a comer chicharrón me dicen que es de la Ramos.
No, es que este es el mejor.
Es el mejor.
Sí, es el mejor.
¿Por qué es el mejor?
Porque son los. Bueno, de los que yo he probado, ese es el mejor.
Chicharrón, or fried pork rinds, are a popular treat here in Mexico. You can eat them in so many ways. In tacos, with salsa, guacamole, or just by themselves as a tasty snack like French fries. Yum. I've arranged to meet Samuel Ramos, co-owner of Carnicería Ramos and son of the founder.
Oye, pues es que a todos lados a donde voy, que hay tanto chicharrón, y todo el mundo me dice el chicharrón de la Ramos.
¿No lo has probado?
Bueno, claro que ya lo probé en todos lados,
Pero no lo has probado conmigo.
pero no lo he probado contigo.
Carnicería Ramos started as a humble butcher shop in 1968 by Samuel's father, and now has countless locations selling nearly 2 tons of pork rinds a day.
Oye, pero yo quiero probar chicharrón.
Sí, con gusto.
¿Sí?
Con gusto, pásenle. Te vas a comer un taco delicioso.
Sí.
Vamos, uno y uno.
Sí, tú házmelo.
¿Yo?
Sí.
One of the reasons that Ramos chicharrón is so rich with flavor is using the pork cheeks instead of the pork belly.
Tu lunch.
Dos, tres.
Super crispy. all around and it has the meat inside. Oye, y qué orgullo, la verdad.
Ahorita somos la segunda generación. Aquí estábamos, o sea, la sangre aquí la tenemos. Aquí la tenemos y aquí estamos todos. O sea, somos 3 hermanos y los 3 estamos metidos en el negocio.
Que esté la familia junta, unida por el chicharrón.
Así es.
Now I know what everyone's talking about when they say chicharrón de Ramos. My empanada dough is almost finished resting. Let's get the pineapple filling going. Just gonna remove the top, the bottom, all of the outside. And I also wanna remove all of these little eyes. I'm going to cut it up into small bite-sized pieces, but I'm gonna remove the core. Doesn't have to be perfect. You wanna make sure that your pineapple is really sweet. It's so sweet. It's so delicious. I think that the 2 most popular sweet empanadas are the pineapple and the pumpkin. And the great thing is that if you make enough of a filling for both, you have extra mermelada, marmalade, or jam. So juicy. Okay, so I'm adding a cup of piloncillo, which is like 7 ounces, and I already grated it. And I'm gonna keep it over high heat for like 6 to 7 minutes until the pineapple really starts letting out most of its juices and it starts bubbling. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get my orange and my lime ready because I need to get some really delicious taste from both of them, and I need pectin. So pectin is a substance that is found in the rind, in the core, and many times the seeds of fresh fruit. And pectin kind of helps achieve that deliciously jammy, gelatinous texture that you find in jam or marmalade. We have the sweet, it's the tropical sweet from the pineapple. And then we have the very rustic, kind of barnyardy sweet from the piloncillo. So this is gonna help contrast and add like another dimension. I'm gonna start getting my rind packet ready. I'm really fond of using cheesecloth. Not only is it really cute, but it's really useful because then you add your seasonings or any ingredients that you want to add flavor or get something out of in a stew or anything that you may be cooking, and then you don't have to be fishing for them. Now I'm gonna remove the pith and the white parts of the orange and the lime because we don't want that much bitterness. And then you go in between the membranes like this. Okay, so now I'm adding all of these in here. Then what's gonna happen is I'm wrapping my rind packet just like this. Then this is gonna be very easy to fish out. So now you see why it was really good to wait until all the juices started to come out because these need somewhere to sit. The orange and lime supremes are gonna break into this filling and you won't even see them or feeling, but they're gonna render all of their flavor in there. So now we're gonna reduce to medium-low and it's gonna cook here anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And while this is happening, I'm gonna get my dough ready into empanada portions. I have my dough that's been resting. I'm going to separate it into 18 pieces. And I'm gonna cut this dough into about 3 even pieces. It smells so good. It smells like a bakery in a small town out in the country in Mexico. This is not very even, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna cut each of these 3 pieces into 3, each of the 3 pieces into 2, and then I'm just shaping them into balls. The balls don't have to be perfect, and the dough feels nice. It already feels a little springy. Okay, so now I'm gonna let these rest for about 10 minutes. And let's check to see how the pineapple filling is doing. So as you can see, the pineapple filling is ready. I can remove the rind packet, but